The essential thing we need to know about pain and suffering, about this world of illusions, of death in all its forms, is we need to face it full on. We need to actually face it. And in facing it, we will come eventually to a realization that it isn't real, that it has no substance, that it's simply form and has got nothing to do with God. And so it's an illusion that we can actually discover that we're no longer afraid of, and we're no longer victims to, providing that we have the courage to face it. Or is it lack of courage or something else? Is it more to do with the dishonesty? Why don't we do that? Why don't we face it? The fact is that all this surface kind of pain and suffering that we experience in life, in the world, is really just a cover. It's really just a way of avoiding looking deeper, or rather protecting the deeper layer of pain and suffering. That deeper layer of pain and suffering is that existential loneliness, which is the separation from God. And the fact is that if we were to face this surface level and discover its unreality, discover it's really not there, then we come to this deeper, more this level of fear that is existential, this level of fear that is really formidable, that we daren't look at, because if we do, what we'll discover ultimately is that that isn't real either. And what it's covering, what it's hiding, what it's blocking is the love of God. Why would we not want that? Well, the fact is that we're afraid. No, we're not afraid. We're terrified. We're terrified of facing the love of God because it's all consuming. And we will be consumed by that love. Which sounds good, but what happens to this that we put together? What happens to this self that we made up and that we protected and sustained and nourished and nurtured for so long? It won't be there. It will dissolve because it's not real. That's what we're afraid of. And so we keep up the pretense. Swear not to die, Holy Son of God. You made a promise you can't keep. What does that mean? It means that we prefer to die than live. To awaken is to live. To come to the realization of what we are is to be alive. But what it is that we're doing in, in replacement for that is hardly called life. It's death in so many forms. And by death, I don't mean the once in a lifetime thing of mortality, but the daily living of not being in perfect joy and happiness. The doubts, the fears, the guilts, all the existence of life that represents separation. All the pain and the suffering, the loss, the lack and the limitation is all death in many forms. And we actually are willing to sustain that than awaken to the life that we really are. We don't want to lose what it is that we're coping with and we put together in a way that we can manage. We're not prepared to take the risk. So we have a kingdom. I have a kingdom that I alone must rule, and I rule it by keeping it to myself, by keeping it under wraps, by keeping it secret. I have secret thoughts, secret ideas, secret plans that I keep from my Heavenly Father. I don't allow God to see what it is that's going on, because it disrupts the whole thing. He'll put the cat amongst the pigeons, and I'll lose what it is that I put together, which I'm reluctant to do. But you see, do I really want to continue to suffer? Do I want to continue to suffer rather than take that risk of awakening to what I really am? That's the question. I've found so many ways of avoiding the issue. I can even say that I've become spiritual, that I've read the Course in Miracles. I'm reading all sorts of beautiful spiritual books. I'm meditating. I'm going to teaching sessions, listening to masters teaching, and all to give me at least the pretense that I'm awakening. But deep down, if I'm to be completely and totally honest, deep down there's this nagging feeling that I'm not being sincere. It's like there's this nagging feeling underneath it all that says it's not working. It's this still small voice that's saying to me, whatever it is that you do, it doesn't work. I have an idea and I think, well, this is it. This will free me from pain, free me from suffering, give me the happiness that I want, bring me to peace. And then this voice says, but it's not working. It doesn't work. So finally, I come to the realization that I'm confused, I'm in pretense, I'm in doubt, and I really don't know what the answer is. And so finally, I have to come to a place where I realize that of my own self, I can do nothing. And I come to this place of complete and total surrender. And I go down on my spiritual knees and ask for help. And this voice speaks to me and tells me that the problem I have is that I'm lacking in faith and trust, and that if I want to be in trust and to have faith to go forward, then I need to ask for it, and it will be given me. If I have faith and trust, I'm able to actually finally be still and face what it is that's ahead of me. Face the fear, face the darkness, face the pain and the suffering. Faith takes me through, and trust allows me to be still and know that I'm taken care of. Whatever happens, it's better than this continuous pain and suffering that goes nowhere. So when I allow that to happen, when I allow myself to actually be still, I see that what it is that was so formidable is actually not real. I go past it, I go beyond it, I go through some discomfort, but then I come into a clear way and I see and I start to feel the joy of life. And that takes me with a little bit more confidence further and further on. This still small voice speaks to me and says, you don't know your way to God, but God knows his way to you. So just allow yourself to be in his hands, but stay still. Let yourself face what it is that you were so afraid of. Your own annihilation is only the annihilation of pain and suffering. And that real terror that you had of being consumed by love. That love that you will be consumed by is what you actually are. And the consummation is your completion. And when you complete, there is no pain or suffering or lack or loss or limitation. You're fully alive. You're no longer dead. You've come to life, and your life is in God. Amen.